South Africa is one of the most beautiful countries in the world, a land of vast deserts, towering mountains, and vibrant cultures. But beneath this beauty lies a painful history. For nearly half a century, South Africa was ruled by a system designed to divide people by race, a system called apartheid. Under apartheid, millions of black South Africans were treated as strangers in their own land. They could not vote, they could not live where they wanted, they could not attend the same schools as white citizens. Families were torn apart, communities were destroyed, and yet, despite this oppression, a powerful movement for freedom emerged. This is a story of how apartheid began, how people fought against it, and how South Africa eventually changed forever. The roots of apartheid stretch back centuries. In 1652, Dutch settlers arrived at the Cape of Good Hope. Over time, more European settlers moved into the region. Land was taken from indigenous African communities. Conflicts erupted. By the late 1800s, the British Empire had taken control of much of South Africa. Even before apartheid officially existed, racial discrimination was already deeply embedded in society. Black South Africans were forced into low-paying labor. They had little political power, and laws increasingly limited their freedom. But things would become far worse in 1948. In 1948, the National Party won South Africa's election. Their campaign promised something radical, a system of complete racial separation. They called it apartheid. Apartheid literally means apartness. Under this system, the government divided the population into 4 racial groups: white, black, colored, Indian, and each group would live completely separate lives. The white minority, less than 20% of the population, held almost all political and economic power. Millions of others were pushed to the margins of society. Soon, a series of harsh laws began to reshape the country. The Population Registration Act classified every citizen by race. The Group Areas Act forced people to live in separate neighborhoods. Entire communities were bulldozed overnight. Black South Africans were moved to overcrowded townships. The pass laws required black citizens to carry identification documents at all times. Without a pass, they could be arrested instantly. Even love was regulated. Interracial marriage was illegal. Daily life became a constant reminder of inequality. For millions of black South Africans, apartheid meant poverty and humiliation. Schools were underfunded. Hospitals were segregated. Jobs were restricted. Many families were forced to live far away from cities where they worked. Men often lived in worker hostels while their families remained in rural areas. The system was designed to control every aspect of life. But resistance was growing, and one organization would soon lead the struggle: the African National Congress, also known as the ANC. Among the rising voices of resistance was a young lawyer named Nelson Mandela. Mandela believed apartheid was morally wrong and had to be dismantled. He helped organize protests, strikes, and campaigns against discriminatory laws. At first, the resistance movement focused on peaceful protest, but the government responded with violence. In 1960, police opened fire on protesters in a place called Sharpeville. 6 to 9 people were killed. The massacre shocked the world. After the Sharpeville massacre, the government banned opposition groups. Mandela went underground, but in 1962, he was arrested. 2 years later, he was sentenced to life in prison. Mandela was sent to Robben Island, a harsh prison off the coast of Cape Town. There, he spent 27 years behind bars, breaking rocks, living in a tiny cell, cut off from his family. Yet even in prison, Mandela became a symbol of resistance. Across the world, people demanded his release. By the 1980s, international pressure against apartheid was growing. Countries imposed economic sanctions. Companies withdrew investments. Athletes refused to compete in South Africa. Musicians refused to perform there. Inside the country, protests intensified. Students marched. Workers went on strike. The apartheid government was becoming increasingly isolated. The system was beginning to crack. In 1990, the South African government made a historic decision. Nelson Mandela would be released from prison. After 27 years, he finally walked free. Crowds celebrated across the country. But Mandela did not call for revenge. Instead, he called for reconciliation. Negotiations began to dismantle apartheid laws. And in 1994, South Africa held its first fully democratic election. For the first time, millions of black South Africans could vote. Nelson Mandela became the country's first black president. Today, apartheid is gone. South Africa is a democratic nation. Its constitution is considered one of the most progressive in the world. But the legacy of apartheid still remains. Economic inequality, land disputes, and social divisions continue to challenge the nation. Yet South Africa's journey also stands as a powerful reminder that even the most oppressive systems can fall, and that courage, resilience, and unity can reshape a nation's future.